about socialization? That's the number one question I get asked when I tell people I homeschool my kids. It makes me laugh every time I hear it. My children are a little too social, I think. Although non-homeschoolers worry that homeschooling may turn our children into social misfits, we know that the opposite is true and that positive socialization is one of the very best reasons to homeschool your children. Socialization is actually meant to prepare children for the real world, which means learning to interact and deal with people of all ages, races, and backgrounds. In this case, homeschooling actually does a better job of this because homeschoolers spend more time out in society instead of in a cement building ostracizing other kids at the lunch table during the one time a day they're allowed to be social. That is, if they weren't group punished with a silent lunch. I can't tell you how many times my children have come home from school and told me that happened. Absolutely ridiculous. Contrary to decades of stereotypes painting homeschool students as awkward and antisocial, today's homeschoolers have far fewer difficulties in building healthy relationships than they did in the past. Not to mention, much of the socialization these days starts on, moves to, or somehow involves the internet and social media, whether you're in a traditional school, homeschooled, on a desert island, or up at the North Pole. Homeschooled children are taking part in the daily routines of their communities. They are not isolated. In fact, they associate with and feel close to all sorts of people, both kids and adults. The classroom is not the only place to make friends. Homeschooling parents can take much of the credit for this. Homeschool moms and dads have their kids' long-term social development in mind, and they actively encourage their kids to take advantage of any social opportunities, especially outside the family. Homeschool children are acquiring the rules of behavior and systems of beliefs and attitudes they need. They have great self-esteem and are likely to display fewer behavior problems than other children. They may even be more socially mature and have better leadership skills than other kids of the same exact age. Here's the thing. Traditional schools are not conducive to socialization, and in fact, students are actually punished if they try to socialize outside the classroom. The structure and reality of traditional schools are teaching students to be passive and compliant, not stick up for themselves, which that completely follows through with these kids throughout their lives. They learn to take abuse, ignore miserable bosses, abusive spouses, because they've been told to shut up and do what they're supposed to do. This is where homeschooling comes in. Kids in homeschooling develop self-confidence and self-esteem. They learn to deal with difficult people when they are developmentally ready to do it. And their parents support this. And when they're ready to go out in the world, they know they have choices. This is the foundation developed in homeschooling. Socialization in homeschooling works better because children have more opportunities to be socialized through the modeling of good social behavior by caring adults rather than through peers who don't know much more than they do and at many times are the root of the problems that your kids have. Parents give their kids the skills they need to interact with people and also have the chance to protect their children at the same time. So the big question in homeschooling is, who do we want these children learning life skills from? Caring adults or teachers who continually give out group punishments and peers who don't know any more than they do? I know what my answer is. Well, wait, there's a bigger socialization question, and I get it all the time now that my son is in high school. But what about the prom? Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. The prom, what is he gonna do? When you look back, was the prom the best moment of your life? Probably not. I don't think so. Definitely wasn't mine. No offense, prom date. Yeah, it's a Facebook memory for the parents. I totally get it. It's really fun to get your kid all dressed up in a tuxedo and get them on a limousine and spend $1,000 for a date with a kid that they're probably never going to hang out with again after the prom is over. But truthfully, the pressure of the prom is completely crazy these days. Have you seen some of these prom proposals? The pressure of coming up with something so crazy and unusual combined with the pressure of actually being asked is astronomical, really. And it really makes kids feel bad about themselves if they aren't invited to the prom. It makes them feel bad about themselves if they didn't get the best prom proposal. These things are getting bigger than proposals for weddings, really, if you ask me. However, if you're worried about your child having that rite of passage, you can rest easy because many homeschool organizations have established proms and graduations for homeschoolers, and many homeschoolers get invited to public school proms at local public schools through their friends who don't get asked by people in their school because people are mean. Boom, prom drama solved. Homeschooling gives children more time to be out in the real world with people of different ages so they can figure out where their place in the world is, what they like and dislike without being influenced by the people that are around them. And with the extra time that homeschoolers have, they can also make an effort to create socialization opportunities for themselves and take advantage of those things that are offered in their communities. There are countless sports teams, clubs, activities, and events that are not associated with the public school system that your child can be a part of. Not to mention many homeschool support groups, volunteering opportunities, theater clubs, camps, the list goes on. A school setting where they're not even allowed to speak is far from the only place that kids can socialize these days. So, as we've always known, there's no socialization issue in homeschooling. If anything, homeschoolers make a concentrated effort to seek out and engage in many social activities, and in many ways have more opportunities for doing so than traditionally schooled kids. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. As my son would say, smash that subscribe button. And please leave me a comment. Let me know what your thoughts on socialization and homeschooling are. I really want to hear them. Any other comments, anything you want to hear about for future shows. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Bye.